Lake Lagne, the Sunken City. You will never find this city on a map. However, if you sail along the lake, after a while, the echo sounder will show something strange. For example, the outlines of streets, like lines on an old painting, the foundations of houses, the dome of a church, even the rusty frames of streetlights. All of this at a depth of about 30 meters. Locals simply this place, the Sunken City. Once upon a time, there was a city there. Now there is only silence, submerged in water. However, besides silence, there is something else there. I ended up there by accident. I was working as an underwater cameraman for documentary projects. My team and I were looking for footage for a film about United States lost reservoirs. The director insisted, we need a real legend, not just a legend, but a story that breathes the past. Lake Lanier was perfect for our search. According to legend, several villages were flooded before its creation in 1956. Officially, all residents were relocated to another city. However, after a while, these people simply disappeared. I arrived there in October. The air was heavy and humid, as if the lake itself was evaporating from within. The shore smelled of silt and something sweet, like rotting algae. Local fishermen did not like this place. One fisherman said that sometimes the nets get caught on something that should not be under the water. The dive began calmly. At 20 meters, I saw the outline of an old building. I decided it was a school. Brick walls, a sign with an inscription worn away by time inside, scraps of paper floated. When I shone my flashlight on them, I thought I saw children's handwriting, lists of names and dates. I took a couple of shots and my partner's voice in my earpiece. You are not alone underwater. The camera detects movement. Fish, I replied, or silt. Fish with hands, he said. Someone standing there. I turned around. A figure stood at the edge of the light, tall, white, as if made of frosted glass. I had time to think it was a mannequin until it moved slowly, as if a wave had passed through flesh. I jumped up. There was no one on the surface, no trace of waves or splashes. Only our boat, in which my partner sat, trying to make out something on the monitor. I couldn't sleep for a long time that night. It seemed like something was dripping inside the motel walls. As if the lake outside the window was breathing, I turned on my laptop and reviewed the camera footage. At the 13th minute, sure enough, a silhouette was visible in the distance. However, the strangest thing was that a split second before the figure appeared, the camera picked up a sound, a song, a child's voice, a simple melody, something like a lullaby. I turned up the volume. The last words were clear. When the water comes for us, we will rise to the light. After that, I couldn't sleep until dawn. On the second day, I decided to return. The director demanded a continuation, and inside me, stubbornness boiled. I don't believe in curses. Water can hold reflections, but not souls. That's what I thought. This time I went down to the city center where rows of houses were visible under the silt. One was particularly intact, a facade with an arched entrance and the inscription City Hall. Inside, there were signs covered with lime deposits. I swam inside. Silt rose in clouds, but suddenly the light from my flashlight caught something round in the darkness. It was a porcelain mask. Behind it was another one. Dozens of them hung from the ceiling on thin threads that looked like seaweed. The masks swayed in the water as if they were breathing. I almost dropped the lantern. A dull ringing came from behind the wall as if a bell had been struck. A wave rippled across the water. Bubbles rose to the surface. I looked up. A had appeared in the dome of the building, and eyes were staring at me from it. Dozens of eyes, glimmering through the thickness of the water. Then, darkness. I woke up on the surface in a boat. My partner was shaking my shoulder. "You didn't answer for 10 minutes," he shouted. "I was about to jump in after you." I looked at my watch. Indeed, almost 12 minutes had passed. However, my memory was interrupted. Like a rewritten tape, I only remembered the moment when the flickering eyes turned to me. I took off my mask and noticed that the wetsuit was covered with a thin film of dirt. When I wiped it off, a mark appeared on my sleeve, a palm print. It looked as if it had burned into the fabric. In the evening, I watched the video again. The camera recorded everything, from the entrance to the town hall to the moment when the lights went out. And before that, right in the frame, a face appears. A girl of about 20, white hair, eyes like glass. She presses her finger to her lips and whispers something. The words are indistinguishable, but her lips repeat one thing: "Don't dive again." The director was thrilled. "This is genius, real mysticism," he shouted. I tried to explain that we couldn't publish this footage, that it was too personal. However, he insisted. A week later, the material appeared on the internet. The City That Didn't Drown. The video got over 1 million views in the first day. The next day, the director didn't show up to work. He didn't answer his phone. After a few hours of beeping, they found him in his bathroom. He drowned in 20 centimeters of water. His phone had our video open. The comments below it were full of strange messages. "We see you." "They're singing again." "Can you hear the splashing under the bed?" The video was deleted after a day, but people started writing that they heard children's song. In their dreams, someone claimed that condensation appeared on mirrors in the form of the phrase, "The water will come." After all this, I moved, changed my phone number, and quit my job. However, the lake would not let me go. 3 years passed. I started receiving letters. Real paper letters appeared in my mailbox. All the letters had no return address. Inside were photographs. I'm everywhere. In a wetsuit, underwater, in that very building. Only now, I was not alone. There were people next to me. They were translucent, but recognizable. The same girl from the video, the guy in the tracksuit, and many other people. A new producer called me recently. He wanted to make a sequel to this story, Return to the Sunken City. I declined. However, at night, the water in the bathroom began to make noise, as if someone were drumming on the pipes. From inside, steam appeared on the mirror. In it were words, as if written by a child's hand. "We didn't make it. You must finish it and help us." I realized they weren't waiting for me. They were waiting for anyone who would listen. Today, I am back at this lake. The boat rocks on the waves. The lake is smooth as a mirror, and beneath it, the city. Where the light of the lantern is no longer reflected, I look at my reflection and see another shadow beneath it, closer to the surface. I turn on the camera. I check to see if it's recording. Before jumping, I whisper, "If I don't come back up, find this video. Don't let this city be forgotten." Then I put on my wetsuit and scuba gear, take a breath, and dive in. The water closes over me, and I see another boat appear on the surface, reflected in the water. There are people sitting in it. They smile and wave at me. They say my camera was found a week later. It contained only one frame, a panorama of the sunken city, lit as if underwater lamps were burning on their own. The screen shows streets, houses, a school, and in the windows, moving silhouettes. They slowly rise upward. Leaving this underwater city, they move toward the surface as if they have really decided to fulfill their promise.